You know, if you're a retail energy provider, you're playing a high-stakes game every single day. I'm talking about predicting short-term energy demand. Get it right, you're golden. But get it wrong? Well, the costs can be absolutely staggering. So today, we're going to dig into why the old ways of forecasting are just falling apart in today's power markets, and how a new AI-driven approach from QuantRisk is literally changing the game.
Okay, let's just start with one number. 2%. A tiny little 2% error in your peak load forecast. What does that mean? It means millions of dollars in capacity charges. I'm not kidding. This isn't some small rounding error we're talking about. It is a massive financial risk hanging right over your head, all depending on how well you can predict the future.
So that leads to the obvious question, right? If the stakes are that high, why is this so unbelievably difficult to get right? Well, the simple answer is, you're not just forecasting a number on a spreadsheet. No, you're trying to predict the collective, messy, unpredictable behavior of thousands of people. And you're doing it while the grid itself is basically being torn down and rebuilt with solar panels, EVs, and all sorts of smart devices.
Okay, so that brings us to the heart of the forecasting challenge. And really, it's like a delicate dance between dozens of really complex, interconnected factors. Don't think of it like just looking at a calendar. It's more like trying to conduct an orchestra where all the musicians are just making up their parts as they go. So let's take a look at some of these key players, shall we?
So what are we talking about here? Well, first, the big one, obviously, is weather. Temperature, humidity, they're huge drivers. Then you've got your calendar effects, right? I mean, people use energy way differently on a Tuesday morning than they do on a Saturday afternoon. But now we're throwing in these brand new layers of complexity. We're talking distributed solar, EV charging, home batteries. They're all creating totally new demand patterns. Any one of these things could throw your forecast off. But all of them together, man, that's a massive challenge. All right, let's get specific. For you, as a retail energy provider, these challenges aren't just some abstract theory. Nope. They show up as 8 very real, very painful daily hurdles. This is the stuff that portfolio managers are literally wrestling with every single day. So let's break down what they're really up against.
First on the list, high customer churn. You know how it is. In these competitive markets, customers are switching providers constantly. It's like trying to predict the grocery bill for a house where people are moving in and out every single month. How could you possibly get that right? That's what you're dealing with. Every time a block of customers leaves or a new one joins, your historical data gets a little bit more useless. Your portfolio isn't a stable thing, it's a moving target.
Number 2, weather uncertainty. This one's a killer. It's like trying to build a house on a foundation made of sand. Your load forecast is only, and I mean only, as good as the weather forecast you're using. So if the weather person is off by just a couple of degrees on a blazing hot summer day, that tiny error just explodes across your entire portfolio, and suddenly you've made some very, very expensive mistakes.
Okay, third hurdle, portfolio granularity. Think about it this way. Forecasting for the entire grid, that's like listening to a full orchestra. Sure, there are individual instruments, but the overall sound is pretty stable, pretty predictable. But forecasting for your retail portfolio, that's like being in a crowded room and trying to predict the exact second a baby is going to start crying. It's chaos. You're dealing with thousands of small, super volatile customers, and all their individual noise just makes the total load incredibly hard to pin down.
Next up, we've got the explosion of what the industry calls behind-the-meter resources. What's that? It's just a fancy way of saying rooftop solar panels, home batteries, that kind of thing. And let me tell you, they completely changed the game. I mean, think about it. The sun's out, and a house with solar panels is using zero energy from you. Then, a big cloud rolls in. Bam! Their demand can spike instantly. It's a whole new layer of unpredictability you have to account for.
All right, hurdle number 5, the impact of your own pricing. Imagine a grocery store suddenly announces a massive sale on ice cream, but only on Tuesdays. Well, guess what? Their Tuesday sales are going to go through the roof, and all their past data for Tuesdays is now totally useless for predicting the future. It's the exact same thing when you roll out a new time of use plan or some special tariff. You're trying to change customer behavior, which is the whole point, but in doing so, you're making your own history a less reliable guide.
And then, what about just huge, unexpected shifts in the world? I mean, think about the sudden pivot to remote work a few years ago. Boom! Overnight, years and years of historical data about weekday energy use became practically worthless. These are what we call structural breaks, and they are a forecaster's absolute nightmare. It means the basic rules of the game have changed, and looking backward doesn't help you look forward anymore.
Number 7 is a problem that, let's be honest, anyone who's ever worked with data knows all too well: data quality, or lack thereof. We're talking missing smart meter reads, communication glitches, just bizarre outliers. It is a constant uphill battle just to get clean, reliable data. And without good data, you can't build a good model. Period. It's the oldest rule in the book, garbage in, garbage out.
And all of this brings us right back where we started, the eighth and final hurdle, the insane cost of getting it wrong. All these challenges we just talked about, they pile on top of each other, making peak load forecasting just incredibly difficult. And like we said at the very beginning, a tiny little error during those critical peak hours, that's not just a headache for your team. It's a multi-million-dollar liability. So, what on earth is the solution?
Okay, I know that all sounds pretty daunting, but this is exactly where artificial intelligence comes into the picture. The QuantRisk platform, it wasn't just built with these problems in mind. It was designed specifically to attack these 8 hurdles head-on. The whole idea is to stop seeing them as challenges and start turning them into opportunities. Let's see exactly how it does that.
So, remember that customer churn problem we talked about? The old way of doing things, looking at the whole portfolio, just gets completely wrecked when customers come and go. QuantRisk takes a totally different path. It actually builds a model for every single customer. So, what does that mean? It means when your portfolio's makeup changes, the big picture forecast just adapts on the fly, instantly, without missing a beat. All right, what about that pesky weather uncertainty? Instead of just grabbing one single best guess weather forecast and praying it's right, QuantRisk uses something called ensemble forecasts. Basically, it looks at dozens of different weather predictions all at once. This lets us give you a whole range of likely outcomes. So you don't just get one number to bet the farm on. You get a crystal clear picture of the potential risks, which means you can make much smarter decisions.
And to deal with all that noisy data from thousands of individual customers, the platform uses a really smart technique called customer clustering. The AI automatically finds and groups similar customers together. Think, all the small coffee shops in one bucket, all the big families with EVs in another. By forecasting for each of these clean groups and then adding them up, we can finally pull a clear signal out of all that noise. And the result is way higher accuracy.
And the big one, what do you do about just plain bad data? Well, this is where the AI really shines. QuantRisk has built these incredible algorithms that can take something as basic as a monthly utility bill and use it to reconstruct a super detailed hourly demand profile for that customer. It can also intelligently fill in the gaps from missing smart meter data. It's basically like having a perfect, clean data set even when the real world is anything but.
So we've seen how the platform goes to war with all those big hurdles. Now, let's pop the hood and take a quick look at the core engine that makes all of this possible.
The whole process is really systematic and, importantly, transparent. First, we pull all your data together. Then, the platform does the dirty work of meticulously cleaning and prepping that data. Step 3, feature engineering, is honestly where the magic happens. This is where the AI digs in and finds all the hidden patterns and predictive signals. After that, the system automatically picks the absolute best model for you, tests it like crazy, and then deploys it to give you those continuous, up-to-the-minute forecasts.
This here really gives you a snapshot of the platform's power and flexibility. I mean, we can forecast down to the 5-minute level, which is absolutely critical for real-time ops. But we can also look 20 years out for long-term planning. And check out that net load feature. This is so key. The platform isn't just forecasting what customers pull from the grid, it's also forecasting what they generate with their solar panels and what they'll pull for their EVs. It gives you the true picture of your portfolio.
So, you might be thinking, okay, that's great tech, but what does it actually mean for my business? It means forecasting stops being just a defensive game of avoiding risk. It becomes a strategic, offensive tool for actively finding new opportunities and carving out a real competitive edge.
Look, with this kind of accuracy, of course you can optimize your energy sourcing and hedging with incredible precision. But it goes so much deeper than that. Suddenly, you can unlock these amazing insights into your own customers. You can see which segments are the most profitable, figure out if that new tariff is actually working, and even track the adoption of solar and EVs in your own backyard. You can even spot potential fraud just by looking for weird patterns. Your forecast isn't just a forecast anymore. It's a goldmine of business intelligence.
And all of this really leaves us with one final thought. You know as well as I do, the energy market is not getting any simpler. Customer behavior is only going to get weirder, and new tech is going to keep rewriting the rules of the game. So the real question you have to ask yourself isn't just, is my forecast accurate today? The question is it ready for what's next?